Hey there, if you're ready to take your mobile notary and loan signing business to the next level, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Sign and Thrive podcast with Bill Soroka, that's me, and friends. Let's go and get it. Hey everyone, as you're going out and getting it, remember that time is money. If you want to save 15 minutes per appointment and still stay in compliance and best practice standards for your notary journal, check out the Notary e-Journal by Jurat Inc. It's designed to help improve your workflow and efficiency, and it allows you to capture signatures and fingerprints digitally right on your phone or tablet. This is the journal of the future. If you're ready to save time, money, and wow your customers, try the Notary e-Journal for just $1 at notarycoach.com/e-journal. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Sign and Thrive podcast for notary, sponsored by the Journal of the Future, the Notary e-Journal by Jurat Inc. Save time, make more money. I'm here with my next guest, Janessa West. She's a fellow serial entrepreneur and master of marketing. Janessa, I'm so glad that we get to connect like this now after all of these years. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Bill. Such a pleasure and an honor as well. So happy to do this with you. Thank you.
You were one of my first students, I think, when Sign and Thrive course came out in 2017. Way back when, and that was the year that you became a notary, right?
That is correct. Yes, I got my commission in 2017 in Orange County, California. Yep.
Why notary? What brought you to the notary gig?
Well, I, like you said, serial entrepreneur since 2004. I've done quite a few different gigs, from bookkeeping to property management, that rolled into real estate agent. And that's where I was at the moment. I was a struggling real estate agent, and I was looking for something that complemented real estate. And I stumbled onto one of your YouTube videos way back then, with you driving in the car and talking about how you could make $100,000 a year being a loan signing agent. And I had a friend that had done loan signings years before. And I went to her with this information and said, "What do you think?" And she said, "I think it's possible, but maybe not so much now." She had really made a lot of money in the last housing crisis, in what, 2006, 2008, 10, when that really happened. And she said, "So I don't think that it's so much available right now." And I thought, well, this guy wouldn't be on here talking about it right now in today's moment in time if it wasn't still available. And I'm here in Orange County watching the real estate market pick up. I was actually doing a lot of property management and rentals, which was slowing down because home sales were picking up. Oh. And I couldn't get my foot in the door enough with home sales to make ends meet in the way that I needed to live my lifestyle in Orange County, because it's so super expensive there. So anyways, I just thought that, you know what, I got to prove my friend wrong. That's kind of my tactic in life. Don't tell me no, because now I have to try to figure it out.
Right. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
And did you?
What's that?
And did you prove her wrong?
I have. I mean, it's been a little bit longer road than I thought, but I've had some different life situations, and here I am now. It's 2022, and yeah, most definitely, I am standing strong, and here I am. Yeah.
What I love about your story is you've always got something new going on too, which I just love and I can relate to so much. But you had a thriving business going in Orange County. You had escrow direct business, things, you were getting that really good momentum. And then you moved states, and not just like next door to Arizona or Nevada or Oregon. You moved halfway across the country to St. Louis, right?
Yes, yes. I up and moved from Southern California, sunny Southern California, to the Midwest, right in the middle of the Midwest, St. Louis, Missouri. Big life change.
Yeah, that's kind of huge.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted a change, and California is a beautiful place. I lived there all my life. I just wanted to have something different and have an opportunity to maybe buy property and have a different perspective on life. And I've gotten that. I've created a whole different life for myself here, and I'm rather proud.
I love that you were able to do that. And that's such a risk. So what was the impact on your business?
Well, I wasn't there, so I couldn't take the calls anymore. And I didn't know what to do with the direct escrow calls. So those kind of fell away. However, I had my website, and my Google business was still there. So I had an internet presence, and I was still getting calls for general notary work. And just before I had left, actually, it was at one of your meet and greets. I had met a fellow notary that was in the next city over from Huntington Beach, where I lived. He lived in Long Beach. And he and I connected, and we stayed in touch. And so when I was getting these general notary calls, I started talking to Mark and asked him, would he like to do some general notary work for a referral fee? And he said, sure, let's try this out and see what works. And so that was the basis of that.
I love that. So even though you had picked up and moved states, and I know we'll get into this here in a little bit, where just rolling into signing agent in St. Louis didn't quite work out as it was in California, but you still had your presence over there. Had you mastered Google My Business at that point, or was it just kind of like the rest of us? I think when we first get started, we just throw it together, we follow the little guidelines, and we figure it out. Or did you really put some time and effort into that?
I wouldn't say I had mastered it at that moment. I had other businesses that I relied on Google Business for, and I was already ranking top with those. I wouldn't say I understood how I was ranking top with those, but I was doing it organically. And I kind of at that point was digging into how can I really hone in on this. And that's when I started to figure it out.
And you still have that core of notaries in Southern California too, right?
I've built up on it. Yes. It's actually expanded greatly. Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. And it's what I love about this is it's the general notary work or the specialty notary work instead of just loan signings, right?
That is correct. Yeah, we do get loan signings here and there. They are direct, though. It's usually a real estate agent or maybe escrow or title or mortgage calling from out of state asking for our help. Maybe their client is traveling or, they need it done and they don't want to deal with a signing service or whatnot. So they just open up Google, find my listing and call us and say, what is your price? So yeah, they like that they only have to make one phone call and I can make sure that they get a notary.
I think that's kind of the important part of this whole thing, right? Like the people who hire us, they've got a problem and we can be the solution. They don't want to have to call around to a dozen notaries or more because that's what it takes sometimes. I mean, even with our signing company, sometimes I got to go down to 20 people before I get somebody who will answer the phone. And that's not what they want. They just want somebody who can solve their problem for them. So it sounds like you're the solution for them.
Most definitely. I would say that in this day and age, people are looking for instant gratification. Yeah. And especially if they're going to pick up the phone and make a phone call for their problem, they're looking for that solution. And if you're not answering the phone, if you're a business and they're calling you and you're not answering the phone, they're just going to go on down that list till the person that does answer. So if you're not the person answering, you're missing out on that business.
What do you say to people who have well, let's say reasons or justifications for not answering the phone. Maybe they've got a part-time job. Maybe they've got their ringer off. Maybe they're actually so busy they don't have time to answer every single phone call. Do you have any suggestions for working around that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so busy, I can't answer my phone a lot of times. I'll be on the phone with a client and I see another call coming in, or I'm with a client face to face. And of course, you can't answer right in front of them. So I do miss calls. It makes me cringe because I want to pick up every call. However, it's not possible all of the time. And I know there are notaries out there that have other obligations, whether it's, kids or family or a job. So my suggestion for that would be have a really good voicemail, quick, simple, and easy. Also have a website that you can refer them to where they can book an appointment, and let them know that they can instantly go to your website and book an appointment. And also give them the opportunity and let them know that they can text you, and let them know that you'll return a text message or a voicemail as soon as you can. And let them know also that you check your voicemail, X amount of times a day or at certain times a day, so that they know that, it's not going to be 2 or 3 days that they're waiting for a return call, but maybe just a couple hours, and they might sit tight with that.
Yeah, I love that you're even talking about this, Janessa, because I feel like I've been talking about it for years, and still almost, and I would say it's probably close to 95 to 98% of the time when I get a notary's voicemail, it's either just the technical, you've reached this phone number, or it's, hey, it's me, leave a message, or something so unprofessional that there's no way I'm risking my reputation with my client by leaving a voicemail message on that. So I think this is extremely important because it's not realistic. We can't answer every single call, but we can sure as heck set expectations. To put you on, can I put you on the spot?
Sure.
Could you just, as an example, run through what a professional voice message, maybe your own or somebody you've seen, do? Can we just see an example in action?
Yeah, sure. Gosh, I've recorded mine probably 15,000 times. And I will literally sit there and record, replay over and over again, because I'm like, nope, that wasn't right. So basically, I will say something like, thank you for calling Mobile Notary St. Louis. We are sorry to have missed your call. If you need a quick response, please go ahead and send us a text message, or feel free to leave a voicemail. You can always schedule an appointment online on our website at www.mobileноtarystlouis.com. We look forward to helping you and connecting with you soon. Thank you so much and have a prosperous day.
I love that, because that shows enthusiasm too. That's somebody that says, yeah, I want your business, and here's the different ways that I can help you. I want to be of service to you. Here's how I can help, even if I can't answer the phone right now. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That was huge. Sure. So now you're in St. Louis. Obviously, we just heard your voicemail message, and you've transferred that business model, the same one that you're doing in Southern California right now, to Missouri.
Right.
How's it going there?
Wow. Well, I'm 19 months in here with the new business. And, I had to start all over, as you do. You have to get recommissioned when you move to a new state. And I thought I would do loan signing. Actually, let me roll back a minute. What happened was I moved here, and I didn't even think I would be doing notary work here because cost of living was drastically different. I didn't need to make the income that I was making in California. So my other businesses were sufficient. Then comes COVID. And it just shut down my other business. I have a mobile massage business in Las Vegas that I own and manage.
Wow.
And obviously I'm not there, and I'm not a massage therapist myself. I just manage it, and I contract massage therapists and send them out on jobs. And nobody was getting massages during COVID, so I had no business. I had to think fast on my feet. And I ended up talking to somebody that told me they were doing notary work here. And I had heard before that, though, that people didn't do loan signings here mobile because they were still traditional in the fact that people liked to come to the signing table and sit in the office. And so I had never really given it a second thought until I spoke with this person that said, yeah, I'm doing loan signings for a bank. I am slammed and I only have once a week that he did it all day long because he had another job and he was getting ready to quit his job in order to go into it full time.
Wow.
And I thought, well, maybe this is something worth looking into. So I hopped online and looked at what it took to get commissioned in Missouri. And sadly, it is a little too easy. You don't need to do much to become commissioned in Missouri, unfortunately. There's not education that is required like there is in California. In California, there is 6 hours of in-person education. Actually, I don't think it's in-person anymore because of COVID. But in California, it's 6 hours of education plus a proctored exam. And it takes months to actually receive your commission. In Missouri, you simply go online and take a quiz that you could probably Google the questions to, but I happen to know the answers because I was already commissioned in California. And you pay $25 and now you're a notary.
And then you're a notary. Yeah.
With no knowledge of anything, really. It's quite frightening, and it's really a disservice to the public and to the notary themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm working to change that, hopefully.
I love that. That. It is. It doesn't, I know why states set the bar so low because, the public needs access to a notary public because we play such a critical role, in fraud prevention. And at the same time, it's a double-edged sword, right? If you make it too easy to become one and then not train them how to be good ones, you set yourself up for failure, I think. So I love that you're taking that on and trying to change things.
Yeah, I think, as a notary, you're taking part in one of the most important transactions of a person's life. I mean, not always, but yeah, I mean, pretty much everything we do is imperative. Otherwise, they wouldn't need it notarized, right?
Right.
And I think that the knowledge and education needs to be there. It needs to be in place. It safeguards the notary. It most definitely safeguards the public. They don't even know what we do and the power of our stamp and signature.
So true. So true. And that's why I think Laura that says her mission is to educate consumers one signer at a time. She just wants to teach them that this work really does matter. This is important. The notarial ceremony makes a difference. Fortunes are transferred with the swipe of our pen. Rights to make decisions about life and death are granted and revoked with our seal and our pen. It's important work.
It is. And, we can notarize something one day, like a trust or a durable power of attorney, and it might not come into play for weeks or months or years down the line.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if the notary didn't do it correctly, nobody knows until it comes into play. And it's at that vital moment that they realize that something isn't right, and it's usually too late.
That is such a great point. And that's the danger, and I learned this the hard way. Sometimes we think that notaries that have been doing this work for 20 or 30 years, that they have a certain bit of wisdom. And they do if they've educated themselves in that 20 to 30 years. But if you started doing it wrong 20 years ago and you did it the same way for 20 years, that's not who you want to be learning from. And that's the biggest challenge that we see.
Correct. And YouTube is great. It is very resourceful, but it is not
the end all be all. It's not a university.
it is not the resource for your foundational education.
Yeah. So
It's
true.
an addition.
Probably sad, but true, right?
Sure.
Okay, so tell me more about what you did. So now you're in St. Louis. It was easier than you anticipated to become a notary public. So you jumped in.
Yes.
And what'd you do with this business?
Well, I thought I was going to do loan signing, just because that person kind of put that in my head that he was doing really well with it. And so I got my commission, got my business card, put some goodie bags together, and thought I would go out and market. And I got everything ready and went out there, made my list of local offices. And you know what? Their doors were closed because it was COVID. So I'm standing there at the doors, and actually nobody was even in the office, or they wouldn't even come to the door.
Wow.
So I maybe could tuck a business card in the crevice of the door. But other than that, it was really a waste of my time. And so I came home and I started doing what I do best. I got online and I started creating my online presence, which, was Google Business and my website. And I really just started pecking away at that and spending a lot of time developing that.
Yeah.
And it paid off big time, quickly.
In what way? For general notary work or for loan signings as well?
I would say about 95% general notary work, which, surprised me. Like I said, I thought I was going for loan signing, but it ends up that the avenue opened up for general notary work. And I do get calls directly from, again, same like I do in California, from agents or escrow or title that are looking for somebody locally to close. And they ask me how much. So I love that. It's not a signing service that says we'll pay you X amount of dollars.
Right. It flips that script.
Yes.
I love it. So you said before we started recording that you have so much volume that you cannot keep up with it. So do you have a team in Missouri as well?
I do. I have a fabulous team here. Yes.
That's pretty exciting. How did you meet your team, and how do you vet the notaries that you invite to participate?
Yeah. So California is a lot easier because they do have that required education. And so really it's just about talking to the notary and making sure that we're on the same page and everything's good between the two of us and that we're in agreement with things. In Missouri, a little bit different because the education isn't required here. So pretty much anybody can become a notary. So I want to make sure that while they're out there on an appointment, that they are well educated and representing not only themselves, but also my company in the best way possible. And so I do have a required education that I provide for my team. It's just very basic, but I want to make sure that they know how to fill out their journal correctly, how to properly give an oath, what the difference is between an acknowledgement or a jurat.
Yeah,
Just
that's huge.
Very basics. I can't give them all the knowledge, but I want to know that they are prepared with the basics, and then they have my number in hand. So if they're at a signing, they can call or text me if they have questions, and they do.
I think that's important. I think sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves to be the expert and to know everything about everything all the time. And it's not necessarily what you're looking for. You want to know the foundation of your role and what you can do and can't do, but just having the resources at hand, whether it's Janessa's phone number or the NNA hotline or the statutes for your state that guide you or your state handbook to guide you along the way, you can use that reference material all the time. You don't have to know everything at every single situation. It's impossible.
Yeah, I don't know everything. There's people I go to ask questions.
Yeah, exactly. As it should be, right? There's this hierarchy of support that you can just work your way down until you get the answer. And I think for some notaries, and you tell me if this is the same in your experience. There's some notaries who embrace the fact that they get to make a decision. Like really, it comes down to them, their reputation. They can weigh, because there's this gray area of notary law. So they do the best they can, due diligence, make a decision and go. And then there's this whole other section of notaries that are petrified by the fact that they have to make a decision and it's not black and white.
Yeah, I would agree. You do have to kind of think on your feet, and you have to take control of a situation. You know that from loan signing, you have to control the room, let the people know how it's going to go, set the precedence for the appointment. They don't know what to expect.
That is so true. They're looking for an expert. They want somebody to take control of the situation. Otherwise they do it. Somebody has to do it. So aside from the training that you provide, what other traits do you look for on your team? Is it, I guess I'm just looking for characteristics that you look for in a notary that's a good fit for your team. Is it integrity, personality? What plays into your decision there?
Most definitely, integrity is at the top. I'm sending them out to people that are calling my company. They're representing my company when they go out on appointments for me. And, oftentimes that person that they meet with, they might ask for a business card. So they're going to leave their own business card. And maybe that person's going to call them back at a later time. And now, is that their customer or my customer? And that's been a discussion. And really, it's up to the notary at that point. And that's when integrity comes in. Most of my notaries will say, oh, hey, Mr. Jones called me. Remember him from 3 months ago? Well, he called me again and scheduled an appointment with me. Or I told him to call you directly. Or I went ahead and took the appointment because it was, kind of urgent. Here's, the referral fee.
Wow. So, to find people that committed to a win-win is a gift. And I love that you found some people that fit that role.
Most definitely. And I think it is because, we are notaries. We do work from integrity, and I continue to give them work. So I think it's, it's an equal give and take. It's a thank you in kind.
Yeah. Powerful. Okay. So how do you get your phones ringing and dinging? How have you mastered this?
Yeah, I would say that is probably 99% Google business. And I wouldn't say 99%, but pretty high up there, Google business, and then my website.
What did you do to master that?
A lot of time.
Time doing what? What do you do? Do you just studying, mastering the elements of Google My Business? Like I know, and the reason I'm asking, let me tell you, because I have some people who they follow the prompts for Google Business Profile or Google My Business, and then it just doesn't get results. And then they think that it doesn't work. So what is the extra effort that goes into truly optimizing your Google business profile? And I want to segue into that and talk a little bit about Google Ads too, and see what your opinion is on those and if they play into this at all.
Yeah, most definitely. So Google Business, anybody can set one up. It is free, which is great. Google's doing us a service as small businesses to provide that for us. And I would say it's not even the notary sector. It's any business that does not know how to really hone in and optimize Google Business. Most businesses that are ranking in the top 1 to 3, which are the first 3 businesses that you see listed when you Google anything, they're there by luck. But you can be there by persistence and work. You can kick those lucky people out of place if you know what you're doing, because most people don't know how to optimize.
What do you think is the biggest weight or strategy in that? Is it keywords? Is it listing your services, reviews? What do you think, in your opinion and experience?
When I walk people through the whole process, I kind of explain it like it's like that great recipe for soup that you got to put in all the different ingredients. And if you forget something, it's not going to taste quite right. And then it also has to simmer because it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time.
I could literally picture this. Yeah.
The flavor has to come up, and it probably even tastes better the next day. So it's kind of the same thing with Google Business. Like, you can't just create it and leave it. You have to put time into it. You have to optimize it. There's so many little working parts to it that most businesses don't understand. And there's a lot to it. And then you have to tend to it. It's not a one and done.
What advice, Janessa, do you have for notaries that are either super intimidated by technology? Maybe they're in the generation where just jumping on to Google My Business isn't second nature, and they're just really resistant for it. How important is this to the success of their notary business, and what can they do to overcome their fear?
I think it's vital. When you're searching for any type of service, whether it be a plumber or a mechanic, or you're maybe looking to go out to eat, what do? You open your phone or your computer, you start searching for things that are local to you. And, even a notary. So if you don't have that online presence, how are people finding you? You can spend all your days and hours out there marketing face-to-face, which is great, but it's exhausting. And you can only cover so much ground. If you are online, people come looking for you when they need you. And if you're at the top of Google Business, if you're at the top of Google with your website, they're going to see you. You have relevance, you have trust, and they're going to click on you. And if you answer your phone, you'll get the business.
That is so true. I heard a estimate. I don't know if it's a statistic because I don't know how they gather data to make this a statistic, but I heard an estimate that said that there's over 1 billion documents a year notarized. And that's a huge pie. So even just a little sliver of that. And I think you nailed it too, is that people only need a notary when they need a notary. And where are they going? They're going to Google. Like, we can't pretend that's not happening, right? So they need a notary near me and they need it now.
Absolutely. Yeah, people, maybe they come home from a long day at work and they see the paper sitting on their table and they're like, oh my gosh, I forgot, I need to take care of this. And they have their phone in their other hand. They're going to Google, I need a notary. And if you're the one popping up, you're getting the business. If you're not there,
they're going to one of the other lucky ones at the top, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. How do you ask for reviews, or do you ask for reviews?
I do ask. I don't have any qualms about asking. Most of my clients are so thankful when I'm there. First of all, it's different than loan signing because they're calling me. They're needing my services. They know they need me. It's different. Loan signing, I think they know they need you. It's just a little bit different relationship, right? So usually the person's calling, they're in need. Sometimes it's a desperate situation or they're very stressed out and they make the appointment. Either myself or another notary shows up from my team. When it's me, I'm there and they're so thankful. It's so nice. It feels so good to help people. That's what I absolutely love about this the most, is helping people and getting to kind of be the I don't know, what would you call that?
Well, I call it, sometimes you're the hero to you're the hero to their day. Yeah. And I love that because you and I are in the of like mind in that regard. We meet people on their best days, and then a lot of times it's on their worst days when they just need somebody with a compassionate heart that knows what they're doing and can just be a beacon of light in a stressful situation. I think that's a true gift that we have here.
Yes. Yeah, it's very rewarding.
Yeah.
By the time I'm done with the transaction, they are so relieved, so thankful, whether it was just a minor one single document that they needed notarized that was just, something, a car transfer, or if it was a life-changing document like a power of attorney. They are so relieved. It's done. It's out of their head. They can move on with their lives, and they're so thankful. And it's at that moment I ask them, as I'm closing the transaction, they've paid, and I say, hey, I'm going to follow up with a link to my Google business via text. If you would be so kind as to leave me a review, that's how I build my business, I would greatly appreciate it. And they always say yes. Do they always actually leave the review? No. But, I appreciate the intention.
Exactly. And I hear interesting estimates again on this. I've heard some notaries say that about 1 in 10 actually follow through and they do the review. Do you find that similar number or higher?
I'd say that's probably about right.
About 10%?
Mm-hmm.
Do you, how much of your business have you found is repeat business?
I'm going into month 19 here in St. Louis in business, and I started seeing repeat business within the first probably 6 months of business.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think the lifetime value of our customers is greatly underestimated in this business. I think people get caught up on the $1, $3, $10, and they forget that there's a whole life of ways they need us, plus the extrinsic stuff, right? Like the awesome relationships, the joy that you get from taking care of people. But there's a financial reward to staying in touch and just doing your work in an awesome way.
There is. And I love it when I show up to an appointment and I haven't seen them before, but they tell me that, their neighbor or their friend or somebody referred them. And I'm like, that's so amazing. And I love it. Like words getting around. Yeah.
That word of mouth is so powerful. So powerful. Okay. So you, in a phone conversation recently, you talked about your use of Google ads as well. And that's where you can pay to be towards the top of Google with certain keywords and things like that. How much have you utilized that in your notary business?
Yeah, I have used it from time to time. I used it when I first started because I needed to get my phone ringing. Yeah. And it works. It's as simple as that. It works. But I will say that it's kind of like Google business in the fact that you can set it up, but if you don't set it up correctly, it's not really going to work correctly. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there is a recipe to that as well.
I think in particular, Google Ads is a rabbit hole when you try to Google Google Ads. I know Google does a great job of teaching it on your own, but when you get into industry specifics and stuff, and you're trying to figure out keywords and what works in your industry versus others, it can be like YouTube is a nightmare for this stuff too. Do you offer services to help mentor or guide people through these things?
I do offer a service where I walk each notary, or I actually do other businesses as well, through the actual service of setting up their Google ads specifically for their business in their local area so that they're getting calls from their neighbors, their community right there in their specific area. So they're not driving, 20, 30 miles outside of their area to take an appointment. And so it's really worth their dollar spend on ads.
I think that's exactly what we need. We just need somebody to help us connect the dots and just say, here's what works in the notary business, because this is so specific and we don't want to drive 100 miles sometimes for appointments. Although I don't mind a 300 or 400 mile drive, but it's not for everybody. What kind of budget should somebody count on when it comes to a Google ad campaign?
Yeah, that depends on your area, your population, who you're trying to attract, or how far out you're trying to attract. If you're only trying to hone in on your actual, like maybe community, neighborhood area, or if you're trying to go out a little further, maybe your county and cover several cities, then of course you're going to want a larger budget. You can start with as little as $100.
$100 a month?
What's that?
Was that $100 a month?
$100 a month. It's not going to get you a lot of traction. You're not going to get a lot of calls, but you will get some calls. And if you figure, the average notary makes what, $40, for a single signing on an average, you're definitely going to make your money back from a few calls, right?
Right.
But, of course, like anything, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get back. So the larger budget, the more calls you're going to end up getting. And I would say, rate of return, it's going to be different for everybody. You really have to look at your personal budget and what you're looking to do.
Yeah, and I guess the state-specific fee requirements and travel and all that probably plays pretty heavy into it as well. Is Missouri pretty flexible?
We are at $5 per notarized signature, and we are uncapped on our travel fee.
Nice.
So that just changed January 2022. We used to be capped at $25. Plus we could charge mileage, but I don't travel the 200 miles like you will. Yeah. I am pretty much local in my neighborhood and community here. So, I don't really go any farther out than about 10 miles.
Nice. And as far as
charge mileage.
Makes sense. And now that you're uncapped, it's really what two people just agree upon, right? So you quote the fee, you say, does that work for you? They agree to it, and it's a done deal.
Yes, that is correct. I do have a set fee that I ask for, that I feel comfortable in asking, that I know that is good for our community. It's not too high. Most people say yes. And the people that say no, I know aren't my customer. And that's okay. Those are usually the customers that don't want to pay anyways, and they're capable of going to UPS or wherever else they might go to go get their documents notarized. And that's fine. They're not my customer in the first place. My customer is the customer that's looking for the convenience or the necessity of having a notary come to them.
I'm so glad that you brought this up, because I think that's so important. How long did it take you to get to that level where you could say no or hear no and be okay with it?
Day one, because of my other business.
Yeah.
The mobile massage business. I have a set price. I have to pay my therapist, and I know what they need to earn and what I need to earn in order to make it work. And that's my price. If people don't want to pay it, I'm good with them going to someone else. So it's the same thing with notary work.
That's a fantastic attitude, and I love it. I wish I had that when I first started. I struggled trying to be everything to everyone, right? So I'm like, oh, well, if that's too high for you, maybe we can make a deal. And it's always those ones where I made a deal where things just went haywire. They didn't have a driver's license with their name. It was just, I learned the lesson the hard way to kind of set those healthy boundaries.
Yeah, I've mentored quite a few notaries that are like, I can't ask for that. That's too much. I'm like, no, you need to realize your worth. You're providing an important service to these people. And either they're going to pay for it or they're not. And then the next person that does call, that sees your worth and the value of what you're offering, will secure that appointment with you. So don't worry about the ones that don't.
It does. It takes a little bit of faith in the beginning, but it's been amazing to me how it opens up. When you say no to one opportunity that was not the right fit, like 3 more right opportunities fill that space.
Definitely. The same thing with like when people cancel. Don't get stuck in, oh no, that appointment canceled and I was really looking forward to that income or that appointment for whatever reason. No, you'll get 3 more. Don't worry about it. It'll come. If you get stuck on that, then that's where you'll stay.
That's so true. How do you maintain your healthy mindset?
I think that's another reason why I connected to you as well is we share a lot of the same like positive values, and I love your morning. What is it called?
Morning mastery, or
yes.
The miracle morning?
Yes, miracle morning
with Hal Elrod.
Yes. So I'm up every morning at 5, 6 a.m. I'm journaling. I am planning my day. I am working things out in my head, business-wise, personal-wise. I set goals for myself constantly. I don't set them too high. I have visions for myself. I plan growth, and I check myself quite often. And I allow others to check me too. I'm open to criticism. I actually love it. So, yeah.
I think that just being open to feedback and suggestions is huge too. But you just said something, plan growth. What's that look like?
That looks like, like you said, you love what I'm doing. Like, I didn't plan to just be a notary. That's not enough for me. Adding a team, deciding that I'm going to take on the state in implementing education, doing all these things. I can't just sit. And I think that's the entrepreneur in me. Like, I have to do more. Just going out and doing notary appointments isn't enough for me.
And you probably see opportunity everywhere, right?
I do. Sometimes it's a little overwhelming for my brain. I wouldn't want to let anybody else inside here because, yeah.
I say that a lot too. I'm like, don't even ask what's going on because I am somewhere else.
Yeah.
10 steps ahead. Yeah. So one of the questions that we get a lot of times, Janessa, is, is there still opportunity in the notary realm? What's your take on that right now?
Absolutely. I think a lot of new notaries in the last couple of years were enticed into the business because of social media and the talk about, become a loan signing agent. They probably got in. Maybe they did get busy because of the height of the real estate market was great.
Yeah.
Good for them. I'm happy that people made some great money in the last couple of years. But they were probably signed up with signing services and getting their appointments handed to them, and they didn't take time to build a business. And now that the real estate market has come down to actually what us notaries and the real estate world know as normal. But, newer notaries think it's, dead. It's not. It's just normal. It's become painful for those that were relying on signing services for their income. And they don't know now what to do in order to get business. And there's so much that they can do, starting with creating their business online and making sure that they have that online presence with Google Business and with their website. And then also adding different services to what they offer. As a notary, there's so many more things that you can do. I just became a wedding officiant the other day.
All right. Congratulations.
Yeah, that came to me after I actually was called to swear in a Missouri attorney. and they had a huge party for him. So it was quite a big to-do. It was recorded, a press release and everything. And I was really excited to be a part of that person's moment. And I thought, you know what, if I can stand in front of, 100 and something people and swear somebody in, I can do this as a wedding officiant. Why am I not? Yeah.
I love that. Congratulations. And you're so true. I call it the notary umbrella. There's so many different things that we can be doing in here. And any type of service that you decided to add in your business, you've got to optimize your digital presence with it, right?
Yes. Yeah. If people don't know what you offer, what's the point of knowing it? You can spend all kinds of money on getting educated in different ways. You can become a wedding officiant. You can learn fingerprinting. You can learn apostille work. There's so many things that you can learn. But if you don't tell the public that you offer those services, then it's kind of pointless to get the education and spend the time and money.
So true. Janessa, this has been a really enlightening conversation. I really appreciate you. Now, I know that you've got obviously the thriving business. You offer the mentorship, and people can check you out at notarynewbiementor.com. And of course, that'll be in the show notes as well. But what advice do you have to new notaries thinking about entering this business right now?
Believe in yourself. Even though you're a solo business, as a notary, you do have a whole notary world behind you. There's so many great resources. There's a few at the top that I would say to go to for your education. There's other people that you can go to for mentoring or coaching that maybe aren't as well known in the industry. But don't go to them for your foundational knowledge.
Where would you have them go?
Notary to Pro.
Yeah.
I think Carol Ray's program, bless her memory, her program is the top. And then your program is amazing. You have a lot of great information within your program. And then I think that, the NNA has good stuff, but they just provide certifications, really. They don't provide the nitty-gritty of how to.
The practical day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, which is what Notary to Pro and your program.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I totally agree. I think Carol Ray blazed an amazing trail for the rest of us and offered a high-quality course and product and certification as well. So I love that you even mentioned that. Do you... what's your take on NNA membership and their hotline for support for notaries?
I think that, especially in your first couple years, that's super important, and it's a good resource for anybody. And as you've been in the business for years and years, maybe it's not the first thing that you turn to. Maybe it's more of your mentors that you reach out to. But I think as you're learning, I think it's very important.
Janessa, thank you so much for joining us and sharing so much of your journey and your passion for helping people. It's been a pleasure hosting on the show finally. And I know people will want to check out notarynewbiementor.com, and you can check the show links as well. Thanks again, Janessa.
Thank you, Bill. My pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Sign and Thrive podcast for notaries, brought to you by the Notary e-Journal. Notaries all over the country, including California, are raving about this journal, but don't take my word for it. Hear what Keon has to say.
This is Kai and Angelo from California. One of the biggest things I love about the Notary e-Journal is the fact that it makes everything a lot more easier and convenient for me and my signers. One of the biggest feedback that I've had is the fact that my signers do not have to go get their fingers dirty with the ink when it's time to complete the Notary Journal itself. In addition to that, it has saved me a lot of time during my signings and has made things a lot more easier for me to organize and prepare in case I ever have to surrender my Notary Journal to a peace officer.
Thanks, Keon. You hear that, folks? Nobody likes dirty fingers. Save time, make money, and keep your clients' fingers clean. Try the Notary eJournal today for just $1 at notarycoach.com/eJournal.